Well, I gotta say, the new engine was running really good till it wasn't. What happened? Oh, I don't know. But I guess I need to find out. Well, can you guess what's wrong with the van this time? Because I can't. I have no idea. But there's something wrong with it. I'm driving along, la 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 la. Boom! I heard a van shattering kaboom. I opened the hood, no Marvin the Martian, just oil and coolant and guts and, well, come have a look. Look at this $50 bit of chrome that did not get me home. This is a vacuum accumulator, half covered with oil. And this is another vacuum accumulator, like a supplemental one. It was 50 bucks, but it really helped. My brakes work better. This engine's got a bit of a cam in it. Didn't have any oil in it. But just by adding this extra volume of vacuum, when I go up a hill, the air vents no longer go to defrost and floor, and the brakes get hard. This was money well spent. I wasn't sure about it, and I just put it temporarily with this bracket in case I was going to send it back. But I'm going to mount it somewhere down here and replace the windshield washer squirter eventually. Meanwhile, the thing won't start. There's oil everywhere. I had to get the thing towed back. I do not know what has blown up, but something certainly has. This is the fresh engine, the 6-liter. Okay, well, there's no point to prevaricate about the bush. We're just going to start taking it apart and hope like hell that I just blew the heads off because of maybe the engine doesn't have enough. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. Well, I've got the doghouse removed and there's oil everywhere. But just for fun, let's turn it over and see how it sounds, because when I tried to start it earlier, it kind of went no thank you. It doesn't sound right at all. Let's have a closer look at the carnage inside. Well, we're gonna have to go in with the shaky cam because, well, this is the way we have to go in. Now, the first thing I notice is this gaping hole where there's supposed to be a freeze plug or expansion plug. But on the other side of the engine, let's go over to the other side now. On the passenger side, there's all this oil there and there, and on top of these spark plug wires, a lot right here on this exhaust that looks like it came out of the dipstick tube, meaning there was a ton of pressure in the crankcase. Now, if you blow ahead, can that put a ton of pressure in the crankcase? Maybe. But I know that if you have a piston come apart, it will also put a ton of blow-by into the crankcase. So it'll just be continue to tear it down, clean things out. Finding the expansion plug blown out is sort of a positive, maybe, that it could just be a blown head gasket or blown up head. Our car's heads are blowing off, or that oil could mean bad. So I'm ambivalent. I'm ambivalent. I'm going to pull the radiator. I'm going to start disassembling and cleaning things as I go from the top down on this thing and see what I'll use my eyes and ears and detecting equipment to deduce what's going on, hopefully. Start wrenching. It starts raining, it's loud. I don't even know if you can hear me, but if you can't, I'll do a voice over. Since it's now become tradition, I have to disconnect the exhaust from the heads to remove the heads off the engine. So we're taking the whole thing out again because that's what apparently we do now. One thing I won't ever do though is bitch about having to put the van on the lift, because you know who doesn't want to hear that? People without a lift. People that have to scooch on a gravel driveway underneath there with jack stands. Believe me, I understand how luxurious this is. So you won't hear me whine about, oh, I had to get under there and maneuver the arms to get the van up on the lift. I'll never do that. Well, here's the exhaust, as it were. O2 sensor. Looked like we were almost leaking a little bit, but not much. I think I'll redo the whole thing again. Well, we've got it started to be torn down. We just need now to remove all the head bolts. But before that happens, I'm going to take you in for a closer look at the evidence. Let's have a look. We're on the driver's side, and this is my theory, sort of, is that maybe I experienced a steam pocket because the rear steam ports are blocked off and the front ones are connected and then go to the water pump. Now, this engine has about a 2-degree maybe tilt back, and maybe it needs to be a bit more. I'm not positive, but it's definitely got a tilt to it, and I thought it was pretty much the same as the way the Chevy Silverados and Escalades, other vehicles where GM blocks off the rear ports and just uses the front ports. That's where I got this block off, and that connector was off of a Silverado or something in a salvage yard. Just in case that's the problem, I'm going with a 4-port steam vent, and I'm going to enlarge the radiator because this thing definitely got crispy. Traditionally, when I pull the valve covers off, the gaskets stay with them, but they are really stuck. And the temperature sensor on this head was melted when I tried to remove it. It all just kind of came apart. And have a look at the oil filter. I've got it. So you can see it got pretty warm. Everything looks normal. So with any luck, it's just a head gasket. Okay, Okay, all the bolts are off of everything. I'm going to bring you in closer and we'll pull the heads off and get a look at the underhead. I don't know. You know, it was a little exciting tearing the engine down the first time I blew it up. The novelty is beginning to wear off. I've got it broken loose. Let's just see if I can wrestle this thing off here without... Oh man, still attached. Ground strap. Take 22. Let's see if I can wrestle this thing off of here now. Nailed it, first try. Yeah. Interesting. The head doesn't look too terrible. It's got a little, you know, burning. Got a couple of chunks completely missing off of it. Here, and here, and here. In 3 cylinders. And I think, you know, there might have been a little bit of a overheating issue, as all the lifter guides are completely melted. Unbelievable. Yeah, this thing is, well, it's not good. And now we're on the driver's side, and oh, by golly, you can hardly tell anything at all happened here. I just don't think those are supposed to be, you know, melted. Maybe it'll be fine. I'll check it out. Here are the heads flipped over. This is the passenger side, this is the driver's side. And I'm just going to point out, when you screw in the spark plug, it's supposed to look more or less like this. Not so much like this. Or like this. Or like that. Or like that. When you see the threads of the spark plug, that's a sign the aluminum is disintegrating away from it. This one's not in bad shape. This one's just starting to come apart a little bit there, and that one also a little bit. So, you know, out of 8 cylinders, there were 2 that, you know, might still have compression. Okay, if money were not an object, we'd just throw a new engine in. Money being an object that it is, I'm going to run down a list of instructions on how not to blow up your engine. Step 1 is we're going to do a visual inspection of the lifters, because they've got to come out. These are the guide trays that have become, you know, no longer usable. So we got to pull each of the lifters, make sure they didn't spin in the bore, cause any problem in the bore, cause problem to the cam. Got to check the cam. That's the other thing. If either of those things are damaged, then the engine has to come out. Then we'll do a visual inspection of the piston. Magnifying glass flashlight. We're going to slide the piston up all the way, check for any cracks, chips, heat damage, warping. Then we'll put it back down all the way, check the cylinder walls for any grooving or horrible scratches or gaping holes. If it fails that test, the engine has to come out. Then we're going to do a solvent test where we put the piston down on the ways and we fill the cylinder up with some solvent, because if it runs right past the piston into the crankcase, then we have a ring problem and the engine has to come out. If it passes all that, then we clean the deck. This is what they call the deck, the surface here that the head. It was right about here that Hopper realized there's not going to be any fixing this engine. Look, I can pretend and imagine that I could just put heads on this engine, but let's be honest. The heads were melting off the thing. Aluminum melts at 1221 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 600 and something Celsius. Sure, vehicle heads are made of an alloy that melts at a lower temperature, but it was still, they were melting. You saw it. It looked like overcooked brownies in there. That engine's got to come out. So I've been compiling parts to build a 6-liter for the Cadillac. Let's take an inventory of what we have, see how long it'll take to throw together a replacement engine, and then we can go through this one. It needs rings, it needs seals, it's going to need to be checked, especially the decks. And if I just try to throw some heads on there and have a problem, that's no good, because I'm going to be on the highway. Well, you can see there's plenty to choose from here. I've got some AFR cathedral port heads. I've got boxes of gasket materials. I've got a set of good head gaskets. I've got spark plugs, dowel pins, a barbell, bearings, piston rings, plastic gauge, assembly lube, pre-oiler, a brand new rear cover with the seal installed, some lifters, head bolts, and over here is the block, cross-hatched, cleaned, ready to roll. And over here in the corner, under the beach towels, are the crank, which has been checked and cleaned, and the pistons, which are not as clean, but we can clean those up. With this many parts, I'm bound to be able to cobble together some sort of engine that'll get this thing going back down the road. I'll bring the engine out, we'll get it up on an engine stand, clean it. I need to get a good look at those pistons. They look a little crusty, and we'll make a to-do list. Oh yeah, we gotta pull the engine out of the van. Well, the lighting over here isn't great, but we might as well have a good look at this engine block that we plan to use on the van. That's an engine block. And thanks to this handy dandy stand, I can flip it and we'll have a look at the main caps. Now I noticed there are some bolts missing, so we may need to get some more main bolts. And these are all just hand tight, it looks like. All right, I'm gonna pull the caps off and take a look at the journals, make sure there's no rust or no significant rust, and we'll go from there. All right, it's kind of amazing. There's 10 slivers of metal here that go in your engine, and if any of them are incorrect or damaged, any of them, look at that little thing. If they're not installed correctly, well, you'll be on the side of the road. You won't have any oil pressure and your engine will self-destruct. So it just kind of blows my mind that that little thin piece of metal keeps you in oil pressure, you know? It's just kind of wild. These just push into place pretty much just like that. You want them nice and flush. I've already done the main caps here. I think that's going to be good enough for a work truck. See, these things practically assemble themselves. These are all used parts, so they don't look shiny and new, but I'm going to snug down the main caps so that we can continue to assemble things. And I double cleaned out all the oil journals here, so on to the next thing. If you've never installed piston rings, it's really not too complicated. All you have to do is read the instructions and stay organized and remember which one is which ring and which direction they're supposed to go, and install them correctly. The oil ring, or stainless steel compressor, has the gap over the boss. This is the boss of the piston where the wrist pin is attached. Then it's got a little thin ring that goes above and below the oil ring. Then you have the second ring and then the top ring. And it's written on there, top groove, second groove, third groove. It's not really complicated, but it's a little tedious and time consuming, so I'll do a speedy uppy. All right, this is what's next. We clean all the cylinders really well with brake clean. Then we lube them up with high quality engine oil. Then we lube up the pistons and start jamming them in the holes. We're going to take a little break from installing pistons because I mangled one of the rings and managed to gouge the crap out of my piston ring installer. I tried to polish it back out and I had to order another ring because there's no straightening this one. That's it for this week. That's right, it's going to be a two-parter. Stay tuned though, because I have an idea on how to get the engine out of the van without taking the front suspension off. It's not a good idea, so you'll be wanting to see that. Got the transmission ready to pull out. I'll do a speedy uppy video of that, and then I'm gonna sign off and see you the next time I post a video. Thanks for watching.